Now we're going to look at darkening the eyebrows. It's a very, very popular retouch. I'm going to show you two different ways. One way is the quick and dirty way. The second one, if you're willing to go an extra step, you can make it look a lot more realistic color-wise, because when you darken the eyebrows, sometimes it tends to change the color. Let's take a look. Here's the image we want to look at, and I want to make the eyebrows here darker. So the first step would be to duplicate the background layer. I'm going to give you a keyboard shortcut for this. It's a terrific keyboard shortcut. You're going to use it 100 times. Command-J on Mac or Control-J on PC. Just duplicates the layer you're on. Just makes a quick duplicate. It's so handy you're going to want to know it, so memorize that one now. Command-J for Mac, Control-J for PC, and I'll show you the first easiest way. But before I show you the easiest way, we're going to use blend modes for this easy method. And I want to give you the 4 blend modes that you're actually going to use in retouching. Now, occasionally we will use a different one for a special effect, but if you understand these 4, it will help in your understanding of not just retouching, but of Photoshop in general. So layer blend modes are right here in the Layers palette. It's this list of blend modes. And what it basically does is this. It determines how the layer you're on, which is layer 1, interacts with the background layer, the layers below it. When it's set to normal, there's no interaction. All it means is whatever's on layer 1 covers everything that's on layer 2, right? Or excuse me, on the background layer. So layer 1 covers whatever's below it. These all have a way of blending in, right? So if I choose one of these, it kind of blends in. That one doesn't do a whole lot of blending, does it? That doesn't do a lot of blending. That one blends in a very unattractive way. And there's that other one. So some of these, they all just interact differently, but at least now this layer is interacting with the layer below it. I want to teach you the 4 that you're really going to use, because you can see some of those turn black, some of them turn all white. Here's the 4 you're really going to use in retouching. Number 1, multiply. Multiply is where you go when you need to make something in your photo darker, like we're going to make darker eyebrows, so in a moment I'm going to choose multiply. If you can't remember what multiply does, look at the word right above it. Darken. That's right, multiply darkens. The next one you want to learn after multiply is screen. Screen makes things much, much lighter. So if I wanted to lighten up maybe her eyes or her hair or her skin, you might go to screen. If you can't remember what screen does, look at the word right above it. It lightens. So multiply makes it darker. Screen makes it brighter. We only have 2 more. Soft light. Soft light adds contrast. That's it. Want to make something look more contrasty? Use soft light. Want to make it really contrasty? You use the very last one, overlay. So soft is a soft amount of contrast. Overlay is, I don't want to say it's an overboard amount of, but it's more. Soft light is a little bit of contrast, overlay is more contrast. 4 blend modes. If you know those, you'll be able to do so many things. Multiply makes it darker. Screen makes it lighter. Soft light adds contrast, overlay adds more. That's it. We're going to choose multiply because I want to make her eyebrow darker. Well, her eyebrow is much darker. Unfortunately, so is everything else. Her skin's darker, her hair's darker. I just want to work on the eyebrow. So I'm going to give you a technique you're going to use quite a lot in your retouching. You're going to hold down the Option key if you're on a Mac or the Alt key if you're on a PC. And you're going to click the layer mask icon right here at the bottom. It's the 3rd icon from the left. Option, click. On PC, Alt, click. Here's what that does. It hides your darker layer, your multiply layer. It's still there. We didn't delete it, but we can't see it. That's because it's hidden behind this black mask. There's basically a big giant wall in front of it. You can't see it. It's hidden back there. So now we take the paintbrush. If this is in black, you need to paint in the opposite color. You need to make sure your foreground color is set to white. Now let's choose a brush. Our brushes are found up here at the top in the options bar. I am using actually a set of brushes that I generally use are the basic brushes. So if you don't have the basic brushes loaded, go choose basic brushes from this pop-up menu. Click OK and you'll have the same brushes that I have here. So choose a nice soft edge brush, nice big one. And by the way, if you want to change brush sizes, you can use this slider, which I would never recommend. Instead, you can use the bracket keys on your keyboard. You can use the left bracket key or the right bracket key to change brush sizes. Or, of course, if you have a tablet, you can use the circular, what's it called? The circular ring to get where you want to change size. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. We're just going to paint, and as we paint, I'm going to shrink the brush a little bit right here. It brings in the darker version from the multiply layer. So you're seeing just that eyebrows from the top layer. Now what's nice is once you've painted it in, if you think it's too dark, you can go to the opacity. This now kind of acts as your volume control. Here's no darkening, there's full darkening, and you can choose any amount of darkening you want. Maybe something like that would look good for this one. That's the quick and dirty technique. And when I say it's quick and dirty, watch how quick it really would be. Duplicate the layer, go to multiply mode, option click to hide it behind a mask, and just paint it in. It's like a 15-second tutorial, right? Now, there's a problem here, and you've probably already noticed what it is. And it's that the color of the eyebrow is now a little reddish. Do you notice it's a little bit reddish? I wanted it darker, but it actually kind of made the color different. So here's a second technique you can use if that bothers you. Or if you notice it happens at all. It may not even happen depending on the person you're doing it to, but I think this next one, it's one extra step, might be better for you. Let's go to the adjustment layer pop-up menu, or you can go right to the adjustments panel itself and click on the levels icon. That brings up the levels dialog box, and there are 3 sliders. This one controls the shadows, this one controls the midtones, and this one controls the highlights. Okay, so from left to right, makes things darker, controls the midtones, and controls the very brightest part of your photo. I want to darken this eyebrow, so I would grab the midtones and drag it to the left. All right, something like that. It's nice and dark. Okay, so grab the midtones, drag it to the right, actually. I'm sorry. I'm dragging to the right and saying left. You're going to drag to the right, there you go, till it looks like you want it. Now, you need to hide it just like you did the other one, but luckily adjustment layers already have a mask, so you don't have to add a layer mask, but it needs to be black. So to get to the opposite of black, you need to inverse this. The opposite of white, you need to inverse it. There's a keyboard shortcut that'll turn that black. It'll inverse it. It'll actually invert it. Command-I on Mac or Control-I on PC. That inverts it. Now, that levels adjustment that's darker is hidden. And it works the same way. You're going to paint it in just like you did the other one, okay? That's exactly the same. And you have the exact same look. It still looks reddish. Here's that one extra step that makes a difference. You're going to change the layer blend mode up here from normal to luminosity. That way, the darkening is only applied to the luminosity of the image and not the color. Look at the difference. So look at, here's normal. It's reddish. Here's luminosity. It's darker, but it's still brown. So it really does a good job, let's fix that in there, really does a good job of maintaining your color and darkening it. So yeah, it takes an extra step. Let's do it real quick. Let's go choose adjustments, click on levels, drag it to the right, and invert it. You can go image, adjustments if you want, and just choose invert the old-fashioned way. Do that if you're charging by the hour. And then you're going to make sure your brush is set to white, and you're going to paint over this, and then you're going to add that one extra step at the end from normal to luminosity to maintain the color. So there's 2 different ways to darken eyebrows, but I hope that beyond just learning to darken eyebrows, that you learn some layer blend modes that'll help you. Multiply, screen, soft light, and overlay. That's more important than learning just this one thing about the eyebrows, but you didn't learn one thing about the eyebrows, you learned 2.